Right. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to be talking about the ultimate guide to your consumer unit. We're going to completely demystify that intimidating charcoal gray box that's probably hiding under your stairs, in the hallway, or, buried behind a massive pile of winter coats. I'm talking about your modern consumer unit, or as practically everyone still stubbornly calls it, the fuse box. Now, most of us never give this thing a second glance until something goes wrong, but by the end of this, you'll know exactly what's actually going on inside it.
So why do the lights just go out? We all know that classic, slightly dreadful British experience, don't we? It's a chilly evening, you've just flicked the kettle on for a cup of tea, maybe the oven is heating up for tea, and then, click, absolute darkness. The whole house plunges into pitch black, and you're left fumbling around with your phone torch, trying to navigate your way to the fuse box to figure out which switch has decided to ruin your evening. It's definitely frustrating, but surprisingly, it's actually a sign that your home is doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
You see, the modern consumer unit is your home's ultimate safety hub. That box really isn't there just to annoy you. It's a brilliant, highly engineered central hub for your entire electrical system. It's where the electricity supply enters your property and gets neatly divided up into the separate circuits that run your lights, your sockets, your cooker, your shower, the whole shebang. But its main job isn't just handing out power. Every single device inside a modern unit is literally designed to cut the power automatically when something goes wrong, acting in a split second before a fault can cause a fire or a fatal shock. Okay, let's take a quick guided tour of what these switches actually are, starting with the main switch. This is the large isolator switch that cuts all electrical power to the entire property in a single action. If you open the flap on your unit, it's the one that's usually much bigger than the rest. And the crucial thing to remember here is that this is the one big switch designed specifically for you to operate normally. Flicking this off kills the power to everything. So if you ever have a major emergency, or if you need to safely isolate the electrics before work is done, this is your master off switch. Moving down the row, you'll see a line of smaller switches, usually labeled with things like lights or sockets. These are your MCBs, which stands for Miniature Circuit Breaker. Their job is to protect individual circuits from overload and short circuits. You might just know them as trip switches, but they've completely replaced those old, fussy, rewirable fuses. Basically, if you plug too many heaters into one circuit, or if a faulty appliance causes a short, the circuit tries to pull way more power than the internal cables can actually handle. The MCB senses this overload and immediately trips, cutting the power. This stops your cables from overheating, which, by the way, is the #1 cause of electrical house fires. Next up, we have the RCD, or residual current device. These are what protect you from electric shock by detecting missing current leaking to earth. Honestly, these are the true lifesavers of your home. RCDs constantly monitor the electricity flowing out to a circuit and the exact amount flowing back. If even a tiny fraction of that current goes missing, say because it's leaking to earth through a person who has accidentally touched a live wire, the RCD detects that imbalance instantly. In UK homes, an RCD will trip at a leakage of just 30 milliamps in a fraction of a second, completely cutting the power before serious harm can happen.
Now this brings us to the biggest point of confusion for most homeowners. To put it simply, the MCB protects cables and circuits from fire caused by overload, while the RCD protects human beings from fatal electric shocks. Think of it like this. The MCB is essentially the fire warden for your house, stopping the cables hidden in your walls from melting. The RCD is the paramedic, stepping in to save you from a shock. You absolutely 100% need both types of protection in a modern home.
Which leads us nicely to the RCBO. This stands for Residual Current Breaker with Overcurrent Protection. What this clever little thing does is it combines the MCB and RCD functions into a single device for one circuit. It's a bit of a mouthful to say, but it is the absolute gold standard right now. In older units, a single RCD might protect half the house, which meant one dodgy toaster could take out all your downstairs sockets and your lights at the same time. But with RCBOs, if a fault occurs, you only lose power to that one specific circuit. The rest of the house stays perfectly illuminated. It's brilliant. Finally, rounding off our tour, we have the SPD, the Surge Protection Device. This protects your installation and sensitive electronics from sudden voltage spikes. These are a massive deal in new installations now. The SPD acts like an invisible shield for your home, protecting your expensive TV, your computers, and all that smart home equipment from sudden surges, whether that's from a lightning strike somewhere on the network or just sudden switching events on the national grid. The SPD literally grabs that dangerous excess energy and diverts it safely straight into the earth. Right, so we know what all these clever switches actually do. But what to do when the power trips out? Let's shift gears from the theory and get practical. What exactly should you do when you hear that dreadful click and half your living room goes completely dark? let's get a calm, foolproof action plan together.
Here are your 4 steps to safe resetting. Step 1. Open the consumer unit and find the flipped switch. It's easy. It'll just be the one sitting out of line with the rest, pointing downwards. Step 2. Unplug or turn off whatever appliance you were using when the power died. Step 3. Try resetting the switch by flicking it firmly back to the on position, just once. If it stays on, brilliant, problem solved. It was probably just a one-off or that dodgy kettle you've just unplugged. But here is step 4. If it trips straight back off or keeps tripping, stop.
I really cannot stress this point enough. Repeatedly resetting a switch that keeps tripping or trying to somehow work around it is exactly the wrong thing to do. The switch is doing its job by cutting power to a fault. It is incredibly tempting to just keep flicking that stubborn switch back up, hoping it will eventually behave itself. But it isn't being temperamental. It is actively detecting a genuine, potentially dangerous fault on that circuit, and it's stepping in to protect you. Forcing it back up absolutely does not fix the underlying problem. And this brings us to a really important point about your own setup. Old, rewirable, or plastic fuse boxes may completely lack modern fire and shock protection. If you take a look at your unit and it looks positively ancient, maybe it's got a plastic casing instead of a modern non-combustible metal one, or worse, it still uses that old-fashioned fuse wire from the 1970s, it is definitely time for an assessment. Those older boards might still technically give you power, but they frequently lack that rapid, life-saving shock protection of RCDs and the modern fire protection required by current regulations. So, if your board looks like it belongs in a museum, or if you have a switch that just absolutely refuses to reset, that is the time to call in the pros. And the information for today's explainer comes straight from MS Electrical Solutions. They are a NAPIT-accredited team of fully qualified electricians based in Horley, covering the Surrey and West Sussex area. They're exactly the kind of friendly local experts you want to call for stubborn fault finding, or if you need to safely upgrade an old plastic fuse box to modern standards. They give clear, honest advice without any hard corporate sale. Plus, calling them out to find a fault is always far cheaper and way safer than ignoring it. Well, I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. Is your consumer unit actually keeping your home safe, or is it time for an upgrade? The next time you walk past the stairs or nip into the garage, just take a quick, informed look at it. Armed with everything you know now, ask yourself, is that box genuinely equipped to keep your home and your family safe, or is it maybe time to finally bring it into the 21st century? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.